Okay, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am Potato Lisk, your host. I am really tired, so if I start sounding retarded, you know why. We are here talking about, I think, the Warp Prism.
Yeah.
Yep.
With me I have Zappy, Doncroft, Fonzie the Bronzy, and this guy whose face looks like an ass.
We told you
His name
100
is-
times. His name is
name is
top
Top-
secret.
Top secret. So no one knows what it is.
Yes, but it's a far more entertaining intro if I say, guy whose face looks like an ass.
Okay, so the Warp Prism, that's the premier Protoss harassment unit. And boy oh boy does it have more utility than the Protoss shuttle had. The only reason the Protoss shuttle was so good is because it had reavers inside it.
Well, you have to use special tactics.
Okay, just right off the bat, does anyone ever use warp prisms to power buildings? Like, has that ever happened?
Actually, I have once, at one point in Bronze League, cannon rushed a guy, failed, took a warp prism, dropped a probe in his base, and re-cannon rushed him. What's sad is that I won.
I believe it.
Well, yeah, I mean,
about alpha videos where they're like, hey, by the way, if you lose a pylon and you have a warp prism hanging around, look at this! You can repower your cannons and scare away those nasty reapers.
Yeah.
Lol.
That's exactly what it was.
I don't think I've ever seen it used like that.
Well, you've never faced me doing a double cannon rush.
I can honestly say I've never done it that way.
The radius is barely bigger than a gateway, to be honest.
Yeah.
Alright, so, where should we start with this one?
With the butter toast.
Well, I got two questions really. How does it fly, and where does it hold units? Because looking at it, I can't
Okay,
really
this is how it
tell
holds
from
units.
either.
I'm gonna start with this. It holds units
I'm gonna facepalm
by doing
hard
the
here.
reverse, it's by doing the reverse potato-lisk water slide theory.
Oh, crap.
So it shoots them back up the water slide higher. Then when it comes time for them to come back, it instantly shoots them back down.
Ow.
Actually, what it does is it takes apart their particles and pulls them into a crystal lattice.
And then
And it also stores a basic blueprint for how to put them back together. And you better hope that blueprint doesn't malfunction, because otherwise you're going to come out like a rhinoceros or something.
You're gonna come out with arm coming out of your face and mouth coming out of your asshole, and you don't want to know where your tail's gonna be going.
Tail.
Zealots have that little tail.
That bad.
thing.
Zealots do not have a tail. What?
We'll try that.
I came back in at the wrong time. All I heard was cats don't have a tail.
They didn't go in with one. Luckily, the Protoss, this is one of their parts of their technology they do get right, okay? They're not prolific about this. Like, let's just get this right. Let's have them go in correctly, have them come out correctly.
Patch 1.6. There's a 1 out of 10 chance when you drop a unit from a warp prism that it turns into something else.
I thought I was dropping zealots and I dropped the carrier. Yeah!
That's good.
God,
That goes against the element of randomness they wanted to weed out of the game, but...
Well, you know, whatever. Come on.
Yeah.
Because fuck you, that's why.
Alright, so that leaves, how does it fly?
Very simple. Protoss parts.
Using its gravitic drive.
It actually has the same engine system as the shuttle.
Hope you can at least attempt to go on a tangent on my random statement, because that's what makes me part of the show, and that's what I bring to the table to the show.
Your mouth is a tempest.
Ouch.
Oh, burn. I was there for that.
Very long ranged.
Well,
counters massive units.
Counters massive units. Got it. Only flying massive units. Let's be clear about that.
Wait, it doesn't count Colossus anymore?
No. Colossus can be hit by anti-air, you know, like Vikings and Corruptors.
I haven't played StarCraft in about 3 weeks.
It's this really new feature. You should check it out sometime.
Yeah, I'm good. They already ruined the game with investors.
Ouch. Alright, so, with the gravitic drive, I'm not entirely sure how this works. The only real reference point I have...
You are positive as to how it works, is you are the guy, have to talk about it like it's an ant.
Yes, see, what actually happens is there's a bunch of little ants that are towing the warp prism along the ground, and that's how it moves.
They're not technically ants, they're microscopic probes that are built with such a structure as they basically function as a micro superorganism.
A micro superorganism.
A micro
That is
superorganism.
awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Well, the only real analogy I can draw here is this is super nerdy and no one's going to get the reference, but I'm not going to get too much into it. But basically, there were some gravitic drives where they would have some sort of gravity manipulating device that would pull the craft along by creating mini singularities in front of it.
You're talking about the Hang Bong?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, I am.
Yep. Gosh dang it. They were all biological though.
Yeah,
but yes,
they were, but I think it could work on the same principle.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
But yeah, that's the only real analogy I have to gravitic drives.
Said no one would get that reference. I get that reference.
Yeah.
Got the book on my shelf next to me, Destiny's Way by Walter Williams.
Well, there you go. So I mean, I would assume it's something like that where they've got little tiny singularities, much like the ones they would use to warp things in.
Okay.
Which is a great space saver.
Yeah.
Having these big, oh
Excuse
my
me.
god.
That kind of
Someone
an awesome time.
back this guy's mana pool.
That train of thought derailment.
Wait, did we ever actually explain how it's carrying things?
Yeah.
In the crystal lattice.
Reverse potato-esque warp water slide theory.
So we didn't get any farther than magic, did we?
No, no, it's not magic. It's how they warp in from iron. And then they go backwards up the water slide. And then they get shoved right back down again. It's like a really,
It's very
really
similar to the Protoss warp mechanic in that they're being demolecularized and then shot through something. But in this case, they're kept in a constant loop within the crystal lattice.
Are they deconstructed? Because that'd be less efficient than just opening a wormhole, honestly.
Alright, well here's the thing. It has to maneuver it into such a way that it's small enough to be stored inside the Warp Prism. What I think might happen is, we talked about in the Warp Gate episode how they can entangle in units. Basically, what it would have to do is, A, store the blueprint for whatever it's carrying. So it would know when it gets to its drop point, okay, I've got to spin all these particles this way to make it work. And then B, it would have to already have some sort of partner particle to essentially reconfigure whatever it's storing into a more condensed state. If you think about something like a Colossus, there's a lot of, I mean, yeah, it's big, but there's a lot of empty space there. If you could, in theory, take the matter and condense it down significantly from there, if you could get it to line up properly. It's like you've got, what are those, like at play places where they've got a bunch of little plastic balls in a pit?
A ball pit?
A ball
one
pit.
Of those things where you jump in and the plastic balls go everywhere, and yay, and it's full of germs.
And that takes up a ton of space, but you could melt down all those balls and condense it into a much smaller space. And it's kind of the same idea.
Like, doesn't a whole bag of cotton candy boil down to a couple teaspoons of sugar?
Probably.
Yes. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, okay. Well, interesting. If you look at the Warp Prism's portrait, it's quite a mysterious, gyroscopic. I mean, it's crazy. It's got all these symbols and stuff and these little spheres that are spinning around and reassembling and shooting blue beams of energy everywhere. So
it's a Protoss ball pit.
Yeah, it's a Protoss ball pit.
There we go. We now have the potato-less ball pit.
Gravity.
Yeah. Yep.
It's powered by ants.
Probably. Like got a little ants and treadmills or something powering it.
And then the ants carry the page back and forth. So
okay, so what about its transformation? What about its transformation from transport into phase mode?
Right.
Ants carry it. And
I'd like to hear what Sappy has to say about that.
Well, it's okay. The important things to note are A, it can't move when it's in phase mode, and it has that pylon warp field thing in phase mode. So it's got to be some method of redirecting the energy or the whatever power source it has.
Redirecting
the power from flying and condensing stuff into dropping it and taking it off.
It's
matrix.
Yeah, it's got to be about redirecting the energy from the engines to the Cadarian crystal that oh my god, that works as the pylon essentially when it's in transport mode. So it probably only has enough horsepower, I guess, to power the engines or the Cadarian crystal, but not both.
Yeah. The thing looks like it's made of glass too. And if you remember when the game first came out, they were pretty much paper airplanes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now they've got 100 shields, so
Yes, but then you have to use them special tactic. There is no special if they're easy to suicide. If they're hard to suicide.
it's because of those special tactics that the shield increase happened.
Well,
indirect.
actually,
He was using them in special ways that you could not just simply fly them in there.
What?
Sure thing, Chekhov. All right, Zappy, what were you saying?
This is a bit interesting, but why can't it transport air units? While we're on special tactics, why can't I stick a carrier in a warp prism and make it...
Well, in theory, you could, but I would imagine the warp prism is probably slower than most of the other fleet.
Carrier is actually slower.
Yeah, carriers are slower than warp prisms.
Well, I mean, in terms of lore, though, I mean, carriers can, carriers can get into, they can open wormholes, they can go through portals, they can get, they can, you know what I'm saying? They can get between places faster in the lore. Why would you put it into a warp prism which doesn't have the capability to do that?
You wouldn't. And also, I think a carrier would be far too large to fit into.
Yeah, I was about to say that.
Well, Colossus is pretty big. Why couldn't I put a Void Ray into it? Then let's go to something a little smaller.
Well, Void Rays are still pretty big.
Carriers and Void Rays, Carrier is way bigger than a Colossus. Colossus is huge. Carrier is way bigger.
Okay.
Void Ray, I'm not sure of the size comparison between a Void Ray and a Colossus.
Void Rays are larger than, are smaller than carriers, but not significantly so. They're around the same scale. It's supposed to be a Dark Templar capital ship.
Yes, considerably small. I have an official picture actually on my desktop. See if I can send it to the group. Anyways, it shows actually Void Rays flying next to a carrier in the background, and it is significantly smaller, but still quite large. Let's see if I can bring that up. Potatoeless ran about something.
Well,
there we go.
So let's wait for the picture to show up. That is on screen right now. Bam. That's a cue, Dan, to put it in the video.
That's big.
Well, I just sent out a picture, and you guys should be able to see this one. That's got the scale of these various units, and I can't tell exactly, but a Void Ray doesn't. A Void Ray is way too big.
Doncroft, as you are an English major, we need to have a talk about we need to have a talk about how you save your document, because
I am quoting Jim Raynor. Okay? It's vernacular.
No, that's still unacceptable.
You're unacceptable.
You still have failed all of us on the forums as being a good grammared MPP.
Sorry, but
I didn't realize
footsteps of Jim Raynor cannot be considered a fail.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Jim Raynor is full of win.
See, if you're a Zerg, Protoss, or Manx, that is considered a fail.
That's not true. The Protoss like him.
Raynor.
Yeah, what the heck?
Actually, no. The Tal'Darim.
It's the Tal'Darim, yeah. But
okay, so a couple of them don't.
Oops.
They're like the Zerg Protoss.
Speaking of which, when Jim Raynor went up against, what was her name? The executor. Celindis?
Celindis, yeah.
She was using warp prisms to power photon cannons.
Yeah, so
she's the only one ever.
That was only because they wanted you to use the Viking.
They wanted you to use the Viking to snipe the warp prism, to depower the cannon so you could land and shoot the other stuff and kill the Nexus so you can kill the mothership.
I used Wraiths. Because fuck you, that's why.
I don't know, I always did that mission with ghosts. Most of the missions after the one I could get ghosts on, I just did with only ghosts. It's more fun that way.
Mass ghost.
Well, that's pretty cool. I have to admit that's a cool way of doing it.
I just mass Thors whenever possible.
I know the one mission where you get the Marauder, I just built 3 Thors to beat it, under 20 minutes or whatever. I built 3 Thors and then pulled all my SCVs.
How? That's not possible because...
How did you get Thors?
You can delay doing mission for quite a while.
It's possible. We are so far off topic.
Yeah,
oh my lord, we are so far off topic.
This is what makes us entertaining. We're pulling a lag TV here.
Going back to the Warp Prism,
No.
If you look at the engine upgrade for the Warp Prism, it's the same as the engine upgrade for the shuttle. They both use a gravitic drive.
Yep. I'm sure, ladies and gentlemen, mostly gentlemen, that Zappy will be getting a replacement mic before too long, or we will kill him.
I'm gonna kill me at this rate. This is.
It is. It absolutely is.
What is this getting? I didn't
dead
hear that.
airspace. That's the...
Oh my god.
It's kind of like a building getting depowered.
No, it's kind of like a building getting
Warp Prism.
deconstructed.
No, they didn't use the
Yes.
Warp Prism to power it. That's why his mic's cutting out.
No, it's like getting
Yes.
it's getting reverse constructed.
That doesn't
As
make
in,
any sense.
it's reverse warping in and going back through the water slide.
My forehead has a
Reverse
dent
warp
much in
in.
the shape of the corner of my desk right now.
You're warping it out of the place that
You're talking about recall.
into.
Okay.
Essentially,
Well, Warp Prisms don't do recall. That's the mothership.
If they did, though, that would be awesome. If you could use the
That would be
offensive
overpowered.
recall. No, that would be awesome. Let's be clear here.
God.
Awesome. For 200
No,
minerals,
there's
I can get
nothing
my
awesome
entire
about that.
army into your
That would
base.
be
Let me
disgusting.
get this straight. I can fly into a Terran's base. I can warp in 12 recharge lots. I can totally ravage his mineral line and add-ons. And then I can recall back and A-move his army.
Hey,
Oh my, that would make me rage quit so hard.
yeah, but you're in bronze.
Which is also known as leaving a game, which would give me, the Protoss, a victory. So I'd say that's
But,
overpowered.
Fonzie, that's because, you know, you're
I'm
bronzy.
in silver, not bronze.
No, you're not, man. I saw your Heart of the Swarm thing.
Well, everyone's a league lower in that.
I'm silver in Heart of the Swarm. Just
Yes.
for the record.
Yeah.
Doesn't, I don't give a, oh, well, fill in the blank.
Whoa there, Don Croft.
Yeah, whoa there. Just making sure you're paying attention.
Of course I'm paying attention. It's my time to bullshit.
Oh, I'm back on. Alright. Alright, is there anything else we really need to talk about here? Before my head explodes.
You know, the Warp Prism is a magnificent unit, but it's also a very mysterious unit, which is why there's not much to mechanically talk about.
Yeah.
Crystal technology and gravitic drives and things we really have no equivalent of.
Actually, here's a good thing. Nothing we can really discuss. But an interesting thing to note is around the pylon and around the Kildaren crystal and the Warp Prism. It has that rotating.
Mm-hmm.
There's a thing rotating around it. Do you think that has anything to do with the generation of power?
I believe that, yes, I believe that that is what focuses the power of the crystal into the psionic matrix. It's a controlled matrix, like a grid. So it has to have some kind of a guide to put it to a proper area. That's what I'd imagine. Otherwise it'd be really unstable and raw.
Gentlemen, there's a flag on the play. New guy talking about the actual unit instead of going on tangents.
And
Actually, we greatly appreciate that. We want our new guys to talk about the units and not be like Potato Disc.
Exactly.
Well, yeah, my role's been filled since I started.
Fantastic.
Is there anything else we need to hit up, or should I wrap it up?
This was the shortest episode I can remember done.
Yeah, it's because my mic sucks.
Wrap it up like a Reese's peanut butter cup.
Ouch.
Reese's.
There you go. Alright, so that should about cover the Warp Prism. As always, we'll have a discussion thread, and if there's anything else we need to cover, you can ask there. Potato Lisk and I are actually going to be doing something a little bit interesting with this one. We want to see your Warp Prisms. Alright? Send us your replays of your best Warp Prism micro, your craziest Warp Prism plays, whatever it is.
Other than the Immortal Sentry All-In.
Actually, you know what? Let's call time out on that. No cheeses, no all-ins.
Oh, you can do cheese with the Warp Prism. If you want to do a Cannon Rush with a Warp Prism, that's all good.
Unless it is the double cannon rush, where you cannon rush, fail, Warp Prism, cannon rush, and succeed.
But basically, I'll put the drop.sc link in the discussion thread. And someone will screen the replays, and then we will pick the winner 1 week after the episode goes up, and Potato Lisk and I will cast it. And we'll try to upload it to the channel.
And if you want to use multiple Warp Prisms, that just makes you 3 times as cool. Because few people do that.
Make sure to use special tactics.
Special tactics.
Yes, we want to see lots of special tactics.
Not special needs tactics. Special.
No, special tactics.
So, as always, make sure you guys...
Special needs tactics over the past few league games.
Like, favorite, and subscribe.
Yep, do that stuff. And
God bless you.
we'll see you guys next time.
See ya.